Welcome back to the CheckMK channel, and in this episode we're looking at creating and editing views in CheckMK. So we have just logged into our internal monitoring system here at Tribe29. Here you see the main dashboard, but what I want to edit is the view that you get when you search for a service. So let's, for example, search for CPU loads. Now here you see an overview of each host name and the service grouped together. But what I want to make is one table where each row is a service, and then I want to add another column with the host name. So that makes it a bit more clear and less cluttered. So what we do now is we go to Display and then click on Customize View. Okay, let me collapse this. Okay, here under Grouping, you see how all the search results are grouped. So they are grouped by host name and instance, so CheckMK site. And we can remove that simply by clicking on the X for each item and then go to Save and go to View. As you can see, all services are now listed in one table, but the only problem now is that you cannot see to which host each service belongs to. So what we want to do now is go again to Display and Customize View. And then we go to Columns, and here we're going to add a new column. So at the bottom, the button Add Column. And then we're going to search for the item we want to add as a column. So in this case, host name. So here, host name, add it. Okay. So now once again, go to Save and go to View. Now you see that there is a new column here on the right side with the host name. But it would be better if we can put it next to the state or between the state and the service name. So let's customize it again. Here you see at each item you see this icon where you can drag a column to a new sorting order. So we want it as the second item here. As always, save and go to View. And now you see the host name is now the second item in the row. If we now search for something else, so for example disk, you will see that all service views are now one table and have this host name column added. And you might wonder if this view is only available to you. The answer is, well, you can configure that yourself. So if you go to Display and Customize View again, and then in the General Properties section, and you see this last checkbox, make this view available to other users. So if you check it and save it, then other people can use this view if they want to. If you don't do that, then only you have access to this view. Rather than editing an existing view, it's of course way more interesting to build your own view completely from scratch. And what I want to show you next is how you can build quite an interesting view. Namely one that shows multiple services from a single host in one row. Let me show you exactly what I mean with this. So this time we go to the Customize menu on the left, and then we go to Views. Here you see an overview of all views available in CheckMK. At the top you see your own customized views. So this is the one we just created, search SVC. And this ID is important because if there are multiple IDs or views with the same ID, CheckMK will show you your own custom view instead of the built-in one. So at the top, your own customized views, and then you see views created by other people, so other users, and then a long list of all the built-in views that come with CheckMK by default. But you also see this icon here on the left. This lets you clone an existing view and then customize it for yourself. But what we want to do is we want to create our own view from scratch, and for that we click on Add View. The first thing we need to do is set a data source, and you can compare this with a table in a database. So in practice, you most often use all hosts or all services. We want to create an overview of hosts, so we pick all hosts. You then press continue. This step we can skip for now. We press continue again. And then here under general properties, we can set the ID. So I'm going to give it an ID of performance underscore view. And then the title. The title you'll see on the view itself, and you will also see it in the snap-in if you have added to the sidebar. So here in the snap-in. And my name will be, again, performance view. Next, we can set a topic, and this determines where in the snap-in it will be placed. So I will pick other for now. Now the last thing we need to do, we need to add a minimum of one column. Otherwise it would be a completely empty view. So let's add a column, and let's do again the host name. Okay, looks good. Now press save and go to list, and now it should appear in the snap-in. So here you see other and then performance view, the view that we just created. So let's have a look what we did. And as you can see, we now created a view with all hosts listed in a table. But let's make it a bit more interesting and add a few more columns. So once again, go to display and customize view. As promised, we are going to create a view of hosts that includes service information. That might sound easy, but there is a little trick to it, because we have to configure which service we want to show. Okay, so we want to add a column. So let's press add column. And then you see here you have an option to pick a joined column. And a joined column is basically like a database query where you would join two tables or the information of two tables together. Now we need to type in the service we want to show or join, and we will do CPU load. And it's important that you type it correctly. And this is also case sensitive, so make sure that you type it in correctly, otherwise it will be an empty column. Now, how do we want to show the data? We want to show it as a perfometer. And that will show the CPU load in a bar graph. And next you can also give it a title. If you don't give it a title or explicitly set a title, then it will inherit the name of the service. So in this case it would be CPU load. We'll just call it load. And then press save and go to view. Here you can now see our new column on the right side, the CPU load. Of course, you can only see it for the hosts that actually have a service called CPU load. Now let's add a few more columns. Customize view again. Again, add column and another joined column, but this time the service will be CPU utilization. And we'll again show it as a perfometer. And the title will be util. Our next service should tell us something about the memory that's being used on the system. So again, joined column, and the service will be memory. Once again, the perfometer. And the title will leave empty, so it will inherit the name of the service, so memory. Let's press save and go to view. As you can see, we have a quite interesting view now, where for each host we can see the CPU utilization, load, and the memory that's being used. Now the CPU load, that tells you how many active processes there are currently running on the system. And the utilization, that's the percentage of available computing time that's currently being used. You can also sort this table simply by clicking on the column header. Now you'll see that it's sorted from low to high, so all this host without CPU load service will show first, but you can also sort it in reverse order simply by clicking the column header again. That was it for this episode. I hope you learned something. If so, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. See you in the next episode.